And hello, in this video, I want to show you how to connect or demonstrate how to connect to a OPCUA server from an OPCUA client. Okay, so the server will be a Rust OPCUA server on another Linux machine, and the OPCUA client will be on this Windows machine. And I'm just going to run the command line, use the command line to connect to the other Linux machine through SSH, and both computers are actually connected to the same Wi-Fi network. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so let me clear this up, and actually I just need to let me clear. Yeah, first open the Windows terminal. Okay, then I'm going to SSH into my other PC, and the IP address for this just happens to be my IP address for my other PC just happens to be this, and you just use your username and password. I assume you know how to SSH, but even if you don't really have to SSH. I'm just doing it because it's easier to record what's going on there. Okay, so go to wherever. I'm going to go to my YouTube folder. Okay, and I actually have a Rust OPCUA server already cloned here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove everything here. I'm going to clone everything again. So I'm making a fresh clone of the OPCUA server code. So git, I'm going to make a directory mkdir rust OPCUA. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to git clone this into rust OPCUA. So I assume you're all familiar with git. Okay, I'm also making this video for my own reference because I forgot how to do this for like the second time, so I think it's better to do this. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the samples, and in the samples we go to the simple server. So I'm going to open NeoVim here, and here's my setup of NeoVim, and this is what it looks like. Okay, I'm going to open a few things here. So you go to the simple server. Okay, let me use a terminal. Okay, go to simple server, cd simple server. And what we do here is just to do cargo run. And that will usually just start the OPCUA server. So this might take a while. Of course, because you're compiling stuff for the first time, so let cargo do its thing. So while this is going on my Linux PC, I will just briefly set up my OPCUA client on this Windows PC. So the Windows PC, I'm using this OPCUA client GUI. Okay, I'm not sure how to clone or set up this thing. Okay, but what's important is that we must use Winpython, and you must include the Qt file libraries. Okay, so my Winpython terminal will actually be here. So I'm going to go to my own Winpython. So this is where my Winpython libraries are. Now I'm going to open a terminal. Okay. So this is, okay, never mind. I'm going to use the PowerShell instead. PowerShell is nicer to use. Yes, PowerShell. Here you are. Okay, so PowerShell is what I'm using. So what we just do is, I assume you already installed all of this. Okay, OPCUA client. I assume you can get it working. So I'm just going to open up OPCUA client. Okay, so this is the Rust server code actually building up. I'm going to open a new tab, and I'm just going to check what IP address I'm on. Yeah, I'm going to check what IP address I'm on. So term z shell. Okay. So in case you forget, you can always look here for the IP address. It says here what? 192.168.10.177. So this is the correct IP address to use. Okay. So if you're not sure, you can always use the IP config, IPA. Okay, and it's still building here, so we'll just give it some time. But the IP address is important because that's what we're going to use to connect to our OPCUA server right here. This is the OPCUA server like URL, something like yeah, URL. So yeah, so let's take a look at where we are supposed to change our OPCUA server settings. So the server settings are in this main.rs. Okay, so that's a Rust code, Rust source code. So let's yeah. So this is our source code, the Rust source code, and you can see that the server configurations. Okay, there are lots of settings for this server. Like, okay, we have this part where it really just adds example variables. So there will be some preset variables for this server and some functions. And very interestingly, there is this thing called a polling action. So that's quite important if you want to program your server. So polling actions are basically tasks that you want the server to do, that you want the server to run every few milliseconds. So you see this thing called polling action. It says every 300 milliseconds, we carry out this closure in Rust. Okay, so every 300 milliseconds, we do something. Okay, so and these are some OPCUA server methods or functions that will also continuously run. Okay, now you may notice some errors here, but as of today, as of posting this video, which is about January 2023, you don't really have to worry too much about these errors, but you do note that the OPCUA URLs are over here. And you'll notice that, okay, these URLs are actually in the localhost directory, okay, or localhost IP address. You're using this localhost IP address, which is 127.0.0.1 for IP version 4, or ::1 for the IP version 6. Okay, but we want to change. If you want to connect to this OPCUA server from another computer, we need to supply the IP address of the server PC. So the server PC IP address is 192.168.10.177. It's a little bit hard to see here. 192.168.10.177. I'm just going quickly over these things. So go to the server configuration file. Okay, and everywhere you see a localhost IP address, which is, for example, here. Okay, just put 192.168.10.177. So that's one. And okay, I'm going to do a Vim thing. I'm going to change 127.0.0.1, and everywhere I see, I'm going to replace it with 192.168.10.177. So this is the IP address. Save it, and I'm going to restart the OPCUA server so that it will host its server on the IP address which I want, which is 192.168.10.177. This is in the server.conf file. Okay, so you change for the demonstration server, you change things in the server.conf configuration file in order to change your IP addresses. Everything else you don't really want to touch. Okay, so we're just gonna wait for a while, but yeah, just again recap. We're going to connect from this OPCUA client. Okay, free OPCUA client, which is a Python GUI client, but we're going to connect to this OPCUA server on Rust, okay, via a Wi-Fi interface. So that's why there's the whole thing about connecting via the correct IP address. So the IP address of my Linux PC is 192.168.10.177. That's the local IP address, which will change from time to time. It may change from time to time. and depending on your network also, it might change. So make sure to check your IP address. Okay, we'll just fast forward this part. We'll wait for Cargo to actually build all of this properly and run the server. And okay, so yeah, after some time, the OPCUA server has started running. Okay, so it's 192.168.10.177. So this is the remote PC or remote server, which is connected to this network. So I'm going to clear this up. And yeah, just to make sure, yeah, this is actually a different PC. So yeah, this is my Linux PC, which is connected over the server. So it does work. As you can see, it has a rich SH. Yeah, so this is a Linux PC. Okay. So yeah, this is my Linux PC. All right. So I hope you're convinced. I'm not going to run new fetch or anything. Okay. So what is the OPCUA address to connect to? So if you can take a look at if you take a look over here, there seems to be a number of OPCUA addresses. So it says what? 192.168.177.4840, 192.168.177.4840 UA discovery, 192.168.177.4840 UA discovery. All of this we could not connect to. Okay, but we're going to try anyway. So the port number here is 4840. And the address, the full address will be opc.tcp : the IP address and the port number and /. So the port number it says that it could not connect to was 4840. So we're going to try connecting and we're going to see that it's an error. Okay, so that's not the one you're supposed to connect to. So which OPCUA, what's the address which you are supposed to connect to? So if you look at this part called discovery URL, okay, the configuration part that says discovery URL, it says opc.tcp : 192.168.10.177.4855. So 4855 is the correct OPCUA server port number. So let's change this to 4855 instead of 4840, and we'll connect here. Okay, and things turn out well. And if you notice, there are actually 4 variables here. Okay, so you may have something like this when you just start connecting to this IP OPCUA URL. They call it the discovery URL. So it's root, and you go into like objects. You have various objects here. Okay, and where will all your variables be? So you will go to the object folder, you go to the sample folder, and you will see 4 variables here. So there are a few variables here, and then you can take a look at the value here which says hello world 3 times for variable 3. This is a true false variable. Okay, for variable 2 it's a boolean, and variable 1 has the value 717. And if you check it again, it becomes 734. Okay, so if you want to plot these on a graph, I will recommend you plot the 4th one because this is actually a sine curve. So you can just add the thing to the graph, and I'm going to let it update every 1 second. So I'm going to apply. So you can see it actually looks like a sine wave. Okay, where does this sine wave come from? Okay, sine wave actually comes from here. If you actually go to the main.rs file, look for the sine. The sine function is here. Okay, you can see this thing, this getter function right here. Okay, you will see that this value here is actually you're taking the sine of something, so it's 2 pi times whatever the moment is. Okay, this is the moment. Okay, so this sine function actually comes from mainly from this line of code. At least the shape comes from this line of code. So you can see actually there's a sine wave over here. Now this client actually just updates every 1 second, which is not really that fast at all, but you know, this actually shows that this server client interface is working. Okay, another interesting thing you might want to see is this add polling action here. So what does this polling action here do? This polling action here actually it takes the data, the data member of 0, and it changes it to 1, or it plus 1. It takes that value and adds 1 to it every 300 milliseconds. Okay, and what does it do with this data value? Okay, it's actually setting the variable value of the v1 node. Okay, it's actually setting the value of the v1 node to whatever value that we set in this loop. So basically, every 300 milliseconds, we add a value of 1. So this is like a linearly increasing straight line plot. So this is the v1 node right here. Okay, and we're just going to plot it here. You're going to add this to the graph, and you'll see a very steadily growing. Oh, it says unable to be added to the graph because it's a type of int32 or array. So that's you can't really add this to the graph. You can only like add floats to the graph. So maybe we can't really see that. But if we change the variable type, we might. Okay, but anyway, that's just a demo of OPCUA server and client connection over 2 computers. And yeah, this is basically what you need to do. Just a note, it's almost always more convenient to run the Rust OPCUA server on a Linux machine because it's easier to install the OpenSSL libraries. Okay, here this OPCUA server needs OpenSSL to work, so it is not so straightforward to do it on Windows, because if you try to do the Rust thing on Windows, then okay, it's going to give you some error there. Okay, anyway, just a few more things. This is I used the OPCUA server code, and this is actually licensed under the Mozilla public license, so as the license.md. Okay, so this is actually open source under the Mozilla public license. So here it is for the server, and for the client itself, it has a license as well, and the license is a GNU GPL3 public license. Okay, so this is the client, which is a GNU GPL3. So anything that derives, if you want to use this server client code to fork it out and make your own code, then you will have to publish it as open source as well under the terms of this license. Okay, so I think that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.